Welcome to Tom Clark's Substack podcast.
Today, I want to talk about, well, you get it. You know what's happening. You know what day it is. You know what time it is. You know what happened. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? For everyone listening to this who is as baffled as I am, trust me, I share your thoughts. I share your dismay. I share your bewilderment at just exactly what in the world happened yesterday. Let me start off by saying I'm not a political pundit. I'm not an analyst. I don't have a degree in political science. I'm a nobody, essentially. Not like as a person, but like in this world, I'm really a nobody. My voice is the same as everyone else's in terms of I can be heard, and I can do a podcast, and I can talk to friends and family, and I can share thoughts, opinions, and ideas and views, right? But none of those things makes me an expert. Never has, never will. And it doesn't make anyone else an expert either. I think years spent studying and researching and knowing trends and understanding how politics work, yeah, those things can help you have a more informed opinion. It's hard to argue that. I have a friend who says, not just about this election, but about any election, how much is your life really going to change? This person has asked me that before. And I'm like, well, considering we're both white men, yeah, probably not a lot. But it's going to change substantially for a lot of other people in the next 4 years. And I think anyone who doesn't believe that's fooling themselves. I'm a little speechless right now. Let me backpedal for a sec. How are you? How's everybody out there? Is that a dumb question? I don't like to kick things off in such a down tone. I realize some of the episodes of this new podcast are fairly down. A lot of it has to do with my own personal situation, which I've been very honest about here on the show. But now that those things are magnified and greatly impacted by what happened yesterday. I, like a lot of other people, am shocked. But that doesn't mean I can't be nice to you. That doesn't mean I can't ask you how you are. It doesn't mean I can't thank you for listening to not only this show, but the other 3 shows I have as well, for supporting me wherever I am, for following me, for commenting on Substack. These all seem like very small things to some folks, but at the same time, they're not small things. Do you know what I mean? At all. So, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. And I am right now on a new website as a news writer. It's thelist.com. So if you like celebrity news and gossip and rumors and stuff like that, I'm making it sound like a tabloid. I don't mean to make it sound that way. It's not a tabloid site. I wouldn't write for a tabloid site. I enjoy writing there. I'm just coming out of my 2-week training period at my age when I've been writing for, my whole life and professionally for 14 years. But it's fine. I understand how the game is played, and everybody I've talked to so far has been very cool. And I truly enjoy writing for this company. Again, that's thelist.com. Go look me up. I would very much appreciate it. And hopefully you see something there that you would like to read and that you would like to share. That would be even more awesome. So yeah, man, it's the question of how much is your life going to be directly impacted by this election? How much are things going to personally change for you in your world? Because your worldview is what shaped this election. People's own personal worldviews are what shaped this election, in my opinion. Again, not an analyst, and I'm not suggesting that the Democratic Party doesn't need to do some work. I just spent 20 minutes watching a morning show on MSNBC who flat out said it's time for Democrats to wake up. The woke stuff killed them, and, they wouldn't respond to the transgender inmate story and all this other nonsense. And one of these guys also said, by the way, that, without flat out saying it in these words, that's the last time we put a woman up there because she can't win. I'm not even sure how to respond to that, because we are still, for whatever reason that we are still in this vein of that's a man, that's a woman. He's gay, he's straight. She's black, he's white. That's where we're still there. We're never going to not be there. And listen, I'm in North Carolina. We were very close to flipping, blue again. We did not. Fortunately for us, we did elect another Democrat governor. So congratulations to Josh Stein. And at the very, very least, my local government, hopefully, he'll be out there fighting for us and doing what's best for our state. So fingers crossed. He seems like a good man, good guy. Who knows? How do you really know anybody behind the scenes? I'm on the record as saying that here. But the worldview, because I don't want to miss this, because I don't want to forget about what I'm talking about here. To me, it's too important. I'm on the record as saying this on this show and in other places as well, that a person's worldview has absolutely shaped this election. It shapes the way you look at everyday life. It shapes everything, with very, very, very few exceptions, if any. Your worldview shapes a lot of who you are, how you see the world. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. And I'm not trying to, boil this down to just the economy, because you're going to be hearing things like that over the next several weeks, months, and years. I'm sure that it's the economy that won this clown the election. But here's what I'll tell you. As the Democratic Party came out and said that, they showed us the numbers and said inflation's going down, the job market's great. People like me still do not have a full-time job and have been struggling to find one, can't even find one locally here in the city that I live in. That's wonderful. And, things like that. And also, again, the prices, right? Inflation, all that stuff. Oh, it's going down. We're going to go after those folks who are raising, but how? Tell me how. And it was never quite maybe enunciated. It was never quite maybe, gone into, whatever that means. Am I saying that's what killed the Democratic Party? No, but I do believe it absolutely had a lot to do with what happened yesterday. Because while that party sat back and told us that things were getting better, I go into my local grocery store and it's $7 for a box of cereal. What? I mean, now, I'm a smart guy. Again, not a political science major by any means, but I'm not an idiot. I know that the sitting president of the United States doesn't have a whole lot of control, if any, over how much, the local grocery store charges for a box of Raisin Bran or a box of Honey Nut Cheerios or whatever it is. Not really his call, But I'm on the record recently on this show, again, saying that if they can't find a way to convince people they get a hold of it if they win, then she won't win. And I was right. Again, not speculation, not, trying to predict the future, not smarter than anybody else. It was just a thought. And, if I'm proven wrong, fine. If the majority of people who are polled in the next several weeks, months, years, whatever that looks like, are asked, why did you vote for this guy over her? If the economy's barely mentioned, fine, I'll eat my words. But I suspect that will not be the case. They did a great job of fear-mongering. They did a great job of convincing you that there's an illegal immigrant hiding in your closet and under your bed and waiting to kill you and waiting to feed drugs to your kids and take them somewhere and traffic them. They did a great job. I don't know why it worked. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I can't wrap my head around it. So the fact that people would vote for this clown when back to the, I'm going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. You freaking kidding me? This guy didn't deliver on anything that he promised during the first 4 years. What in the world makes anybody think he'll deliver now? Be honest with me. What in the world makes any of us believe that he'll deliver on anything that he promised except for the chaos? Because he didn't promise chaos the first time around. He promised you that this time. Well, now you're going to get it. This is not to target anybody. I'm sure I have friends and family that absolutely voted for this guy. I said that on a recent show as well. So this is not meant at them. And it's not even meant at you if you voted for him. But for those hard right-wingers who wear the hats and wear the camo and carry the guns openly and wave the flags and calling Kamala Harris a hoe, and their kids are wearing those shirts, and it's just the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen. And they're screaming and yelling at people at polling stations, and it's absolute chaos and nonsense, and that's how you live, and that's how you've trained your entire family to be, because they're following your lead as a man. By the way, all this talk about macho, the alpha male, dude, I'm so tired of that. Our definition of what macho is absolutely, quite frankly, disgusting. It's disgusting, because if that's how men are measured, then I guess I'm not one, because I'm not one of those guys that believes in, stick your chest out, yell, scream, have a house full of weapons, make your woman stay in line, fall in line. She does what you tell her to do. You rule the roost. You rule your kids with an iron hand. That's not me. If that's what a man is, I guess I'm not a man. That's fine. I'll take that. I don't care. If being someone who tries to be very polite to people of other genders, to people who don't look like me or sound like me, who want to actually be friendly and podcast with people who are different than me, not because of any sort of, hidden agenda or because I want to look a certain way. It's nothing like that. If I sit around talking to the same guys who look like me and sound like me with the same ideas, the same life experiences, that's going to get pretty dull. And I podcast with guys and gals who do have the similar life experiences, who look like me and sound like me, and we have a great time. But I also want to expand my horizons and expand my own personal, knowledge base, and expand my own personal thought processes by talking to people who are not like me. I think it's important. I know it's important. And that's what I want to do. And I enjoy doing those things. But, if that makes me not a man, okay. If I look at the gay community or the transgender community and I, have empathy for the struggles they go through, if I think it's ridiculous that, a man can't marry a man and not be tortured, not be criticized and ridiculed and raked over the coals, and then that marriage dissipates as he crosses one state border to the next. If I can't be empathetic toward that because it doesn't make me a man, cool, I'm not a man. If I can't publicly, take up for a woman's right to choose and not understand why it's been took away and why it will continue to be taken away, okay? And it's because it's only going to get worse. If that doesn't make me a man, fine. It's fine. I'm not a man. I don't know what I call myself, but I'm sure whatever I choose to call myself will be laughed at, mocked, and ridiculed because, by God, if you're born a certain way, well, by God, that's how it is. By the way, this thing about bringing God up into every election, God watch over the election, I read posts like that as the election was happening live. Spare me, okay? Spare me, please. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in. And I have friends who vote the way I do, who absolutely believe in a higher power. And I'm not going to mock that, and I'm not going to ridicule that. But here's what I'll tell you for Tom, right now, just for Tom. I don't know why there would be a place in my world for that kind of thinking anymore. And this is something I haven't gone into a whole lot on this show or on any other show. And maybe one of these days I will. Maybe one of these days I'll go down that road. So I got stories to tell because I was born and raised in church. But not today. I don't want to do those things today. And by the way, I know I'm all over the map. Anyone that's ever listened to my show know that I do have like segments, but I'm not going to sit down with a script. That's kind of not who I am, especially not on this show. Sometimes I'll have notes. I didn't have any notes today because I just wanted to record. I want to get this off my chest. I got a full day ahead of me. I got things I'm doing, and I don't want to spend any more time than I need to on this or that I have to. I can tell you that I went to bed last night thoroughly disgusted with this country. And I don't call it my country, by the way. That's a weird thing to me. I don't know why. This thing about calling yourself a patriot. I never served in the military. I think it's absolutely, in my opinion, embarrassing and an insult for me to refer to myself as a patriot. I'm the farthest thing from a patriot. I never had the guts to take up a weapon in defense of my country. And I applaud those that do. I don't care how they vote. I truly don't care how they vote. My hat's off to them. And we owe them a debt. But again, I'm not going to sit here and thump my chest and wear the flag all over myself and call myself a patriot. Stop. For me, you can do what you want. It's fine. But again, I went to bed last night thoroughly disgusted with this country and not knowing what in the world is going on, not knowing how in the world we've slipped this far. And, when he won the first time in 2016, we all kind of said the same thing, right? We all kind of said, well, there's a lot more of those people than we thought there was. And wow, it's getting worse. And over the next 4 years, what we say, man, these are some hateful people. Like, dude, they won. And they were still like that. They didn't let their guard down. They didn't, become moderate. They didn't, give a little. They didn't give anything, right? And as of the time I record this, Vice President Kamala Harris, has not spoken yet. But we all expect her to concede the election, and we all expect her to be gracious in defeat and to be humble in defeat. And we all expect her to be supportive, maybe not of this guy directly, but of the country. Because that's what an adult does. He's not an adult. We know what he is. Can I be honest with you? If you voted for him, you know what he is. Be honest with me. You know. And you voted the way you voted for a reason. And it's fine. If you truly believe that she's the devil, if you truly believe that Democrats are baby killers and pedophiles and child traffickers, nothing I'll be able to say today will be able to change your mind. And obviously nothing any of us have been able to say over the course of the past year has been able to change your mind. Because you're going to believe the way you're going to believe, you're going to vote the way you're going to vote. But I've also said on the record here on the show that while I don't believe everyone who voted for him is a bad person, at the same time, I will tell you quite bluntly and quite honestly, I do believe that you did have to give something away in order to vote for him. Whether it was you turned a blind eye to something he said that did offend you on some level, or a joke that he cracked that wasn't funny to you, but you didn't want to say anything out loud because it would make you look less than in front of your friends, family, whatever that looks like. You gave away something. So, having said all that, what happens now? Well, Project 2025 happens now. I mean, it's there. We all know it. For anyone who voted for him, if you start wanting to air outrage over the next 4 years because something in 2025 directly affects you, I mean, you kind of asked for that, didn't you? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, we know what he wants to do. He wants to shut down the Department of Education. He wants to extend his reach into local governments. He wants to get more and more people on his side. He wants to extend his reach in terms of who people directly report to in your local government. These are things that are, it's in the document. It's online. Go download it. They made it available. It's crazy. Reproductive freedom's over in this country. It's absolutely done. And they will not stop there. They have said they will not stop there. They've told you who they are. Was it Maya Angelou that said, people will show you who they are? Loosely quoted. Absolutely right. He told you who he is, and people voted for him. He told them what he was going to do, and they said, we love it. Bring it. Give it to us. So that's what they're going to get. What sucks is, for the rest of us who didn't want that, we're going to get it too. Because while I do believe, as I heard this morning, that there are two different Americas, I think that's true to some degree. The problem is whoever is in power is going to affect both Americas. And that could have been good. That could have been maybe not the best thing ever if she had won, but it wouldn't have been as destructive as what we're going to see over the course of the next 4 years. Because I promise you this, while I'm not a pundit, while I'm not a professional, I'm not, again, the grand scheme of things, I'm just a podcaster, man. Here's what I know to be true. He's going to do what he said he was going to do. What he promised, he's going to deliver. And we're not ready. I don't think his supporters are ready. Can we be real? Because the minute things begin to affect them, then they'll have a problem. Again, I go back to the idea of your limited worldview. What you see each and every day affects the way you vote, affects the way you talk, affects who is in your inner circle, affects the way that you see everything. I don't make a blanket statement to say it's every person in the country. My goodness, let's be serious. I'm not trying to even suggest that, but I do believe it's the large majority. You know what your worldview is, and that's what you see every day, and that's how you live, and that's what you understand, and that's what you can relate to. And again, I'll tell you, the economy is a big chunk of it. And if you walked around losing sleep over immigrants, that's a big thing for you too. I never did. Do I think it's great to have a weak border? Of course not. Of course not. I never said that. But that was not a defining issue for me in this campaign. Making sure this guy didn't get reelected was a defining issue. Because while she is not perfect, while Tim Walz is not perfect, while they weren't perfect the day before the election, and they're sure not perfect today, In my heart of hearts, I believe they were the best choice because of the less amount of damage. Look, did they say anything to lead you to believe that chaos and hell were coming? He did, and people voted for that. It's mind-boggling. I don't like to quote politicians. I'm going to quote John Kennedy, but I don't go around making a habit of it. I don't own a shirt with her last name or Wallace's last name or President Biden's last name or Barack Obama's last name. I don't own a yard sign or a flag or a hat or a wristband or sweatpants or any of that stuff. None of the paraphernalia. I don't have buttons. I don't have bumper stickers. Their faces are not plastered all over my social media, on my banners, and on my profile pics. Okay? So I don't go around believing that they're any smarter than any of the rest of us, that they're any better than the rest of us. It's fact. That's what separates me from some other folks who are, ride or die with that guy. But here's what I'll tell you. As President Kennedy said, we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's futures, and we are all mortal. At the end of the day, we got to find a way to have some common ground. Okay? This means that you know what this means? This means that I expect a white man who is racist, who is homophobic and transphobic, and believes his woman ought to do what he says and give him whatever he wants when he wants it, and, doesn't much care for people who talk funny and who are from different countries, okay, and believe it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and all other nonsense. I'm expecting that guy to stand on the same ground, to share a common ground with someone that he hates. It's not going to happen. And the majority of races, at least at once upon a time, would be adult enough to hide it so they could play along and get along in society and sort of like be hidden. But, look, if there's anything positive, and positive is a terrible word when talking about this guy, but if anything that has come out of this, if at least for regular everyday people who are not behaving that way, is that, this guy turned the lights on in 2016 and the cockroaches scattered. They were everywhere. And they're still there. The kitchen's filled with them now. And there's no nooks and crannies to hide in, and they don't want to hide. They're out in the open. This is who they are. We got what we wanted as a country. This is what people want. This is what they're going to get. This is how things are going to be moving forward. I'd love to leave you with something positive. I don't have a lot. I will tell you that, as I said before, I appreciate whoever listens to this. I appreciate if you listen to my other shows, Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's Six and Podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted Lasso podcast. I truly appreciate everybody who co-hosts with me, who downloads the episodes, who gives me a follow, who likes my stuff. I appreciate the great conversations I have every day and every week and every month and every year. All these things are tremendous. You guys are the best. And you know what? For folks who don't agree with me, who don't like the way I talk, who don't like me, I don't have any hate for you. I don't understand. I'm so confused as to who we are now. What has happened to us? My tweets last night, by the way, are not good. As everything came out. I mean, I can't believe I didn't get a message. Dude, are you going to be okay? I can't say I expected a landslide as others speculated about, but I will say I'm thoroughly embarrassed. I just don't know how this can be so close. I don't get it. By the way, this thing is edited like crazy because my tongue is very thick in my mouth right now. It's early, and I'm still working on my first cup of coffee of the day. And I may have just ate a disgusting, greasy breakfast sandwich because I make poor dietary choices. It sucks. I'm not happy about it. But today I thought maybe I'll have that disgusting, nasty, greasy breakfast sandwich and throw any concerns for my personal well-being out the window. You know what the worst part of all this is? That it is going to get worse before it gets better. You want to know how I know that? This wasn't a narrow win. He won. And not only did he win, he expanded his reach in one county after another, in one state after another, which President Biden won handily last time. This clown extended his reach and cut the margins down, in some cases flipped counties and states. I mean, I've always believed, no matter what happened, that there's more of us than there are of them. I was wrong. I've never been more upset to be wrong about something in my life, I don't think. This is, mass deportations are coming. Jailing people who disagree with him. If he can find a way to do it, that's coming. Extending his reach into state and local governments, that's coming. By the way, pardoning January 6th prisoners, that's probably coming. And again, women's rights, it's out the window. And again, like I said before, he will not stop there. They will not stop there. They're coming for everything you have. If they don't like what you have, they're coming for it. If they don't like a right that you have, they're coming for it. Period. I mean, and this is not fear-mongering. That's what a lot of people think that our side does, is fear-mongering. That's not what this is. No one on my side that I have read, and maybe there's some extremists out. I'm sure there's some extremists out there who have made things up. But if I'm going based just off of what this guy has said from his own mouth, the dark times are coming. Because if he makes good on anything, if he makes good on a third of what he said and what people around him have said, I do not look forward to the next 4 years. And, again, as a white guy who's, I'm probably going to be the least amount affected. But that shouldn't matter to me. And by the way, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to watch friends and family in some cases. And I'm going to watch people that I know or that I've met be greatly, greatly affected by this. I'm going to see people that I've never met, that I don't even live in the same state as them, right? I'm going to see them greatly, greatly affected by this. What in the world has happened to us, man? Here's what I'll say. I'm going to try to put a positive spin on this. Don't change who you are, okay? If you're accepting of everybody around you, if you dismiss the rants of a would-be tyrant, if you dismiss all the hate and vitriol that comes out of that party, if you don't want anything to do with that, okay? If you have intentionally shut people out of your life because they are impossible to deal with, because they have been rude, because they have been possibly violent, possibly threatening, I'm with you, okay? Don't give up. We never got anywhere as collectively by giving up. We won't get anywhere now by giving up, okay? This is. I have a hard time saying this because I don't know if I believe it that much anymore. But I've always believed that this is the same country that gave the middle finger to England and said, we're out. And that's me with my great history lesson today. Here's the history of the American Revolution by Tom Clark on a podcast. We gave the middle finger to England and said, we're out. If I won't do what you tell me, right? I've always believed we're that country. I don't know if we are anymore. But it doesn't mean that we can't be. Have we faced darker times than this as a generation? I submit that we have not. And you could make the argument that quite possibly this country's not faced a darker time than what's about to come. And if you think I'm pulling alarms for no good reason, just because I'm upset that my guy didn't win, I think you're fooling yourself. Again, what I'm saying is not based on guessing. What I'm saying is not based on fear. What I'm saying is based on the words that have come out of his mouth, of things that he promises to do if he won. Well, now he won, and now we're going to be in for it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Keep your heads up wherever you can. If you listen to this and you want to message me and you just want to follow me somewhere or just have a chat, I'm a nice guy, man. Look, even on the other side, I don't insult anybody. I'm not coming for anybody. I don't have an axe to grind. There won't be a January 6th for us. Here's someone else I don't go around quoting too much, the Reverend Al Sharpton. But I heard him about an hour ago say these exact words. There won't be a January 6th from our side. We're going to have integrity. We're going to get through this. There won't be Democrats trying to overthrow the Capitol. It's not going to happen. It's not who we are. So let's don't become that. Let's remember we're better than that. Okay? We have to be better than that. Thanks, everybody, for listening and subscribing. I appreciate your time. As I said, please follow me. Check out my work on thelist.com. I am on Substack. That's where this podcast originates from. I will be writing again for them very soon. I'm just trying to find the time, but I'm not gone, just so you know. And remember that you can find all of my stuff online. I appreciate you following me. And do me a favor before we go here. Keep your head up, okay? You got friends that care. And you've got people you've never met who have your back, okay? I'm one of them. So don't forget about that. Thanks for listening. Leave your feedback and like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it.
For more of Tom's podcasts, please visit boinkstudios.com.